Your guide, your path, your compass, just ask Freeman Douglas.
Good evening, Huddlers. Welcome to the Homebuyers Huddle. I'm Douglas Wilkerson of Freeman Douglas Edge Home Finance. I'm the branch manager here at Edge Home Finance and the owner and founder of Freeman Douglas Homeownership Referral Network. Today's segment, episode 2 of the Homebuyers Huddle, is Behind the Deal, how real estate finds you before you even start looking. And with me, I have a very special friend, Stephen Morales. Stephen is the senior partner of Prime Tracers app. Stephen, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, Douglas, great seeing you again.
You too.
You know, it's been like 2 years since we've known each other now, 2 or 3 years, doing a couple of deals together and stuff. And so Douglas has known me since I got started in this industry, and I've been doing it for like 10 years, I should say, but we've known each other for 3. And really, I kind of got started with Prime Tracers because I saw like a need for a way for realtors and investors to do their own off-market lead gen. And the current products that are out there right now, it kind of locks people into pretty sticky subscriptions. And I don't know about you, but I hate subscription models. Yeah. Our CEO hates subscription models.
Contract subscriptions, that's the worst.
You know, locked in forever, you can't cancel. And so that's where Prime Tracers kind of like came to fruition. And then we've kind of enhanced it over the last couple of years to where it is now, to where it's a free software for people to go ahead and pull property lists, to do deal analysis, view property deals, run comps. And the only thing that you pay for is the contact information. And, that's pay as you go.
So we met on Facebook.
Yeah.
So a little bit of background for everyone listening. We met on Facebook. I came across a live video that you were doing. So
that was funny.
Facebook works. And, I'm super skeptical. I'm pretty sure I was a pain in the butt when it started. But you were doing like a giveaway and spinning the wheel. And I found that to be really interesting, an interesting way to lead gen for this app. And I even asked you, hey man, like we always talk about, that's the business is lead gens, right? So everybody, the realtors and things like that. And when people talk about leads, I don't want it to have like a bad stigma, right? Because we are talking about leads that affect people's lives, right? And their families.
Right. And well, people also have like a very, I would say more so for not the consumer directly, but for the business owner, business professional, realtors and investors. They have a really bad stigma just when you come to the term skip tracing. You hear skip tracing, like, ooh, gross, because some guy out in the Middle East is trying to sell you some stuff that he's, illegally scraping and trying to sell it to you for, 5 cents, 7 cents, sometimes 10, 20 cents a record.
Right.
And so it definitely does have a negative connotation, but I will say that, as far as like Prime Tracers goes, we understand that people don't like that term, but that it is what it is. And honestly, for us, like we follow very strict compliance and federal guidelines. Like, you have TCPA, obviously, you got the FCRA, you got the GDPR. So everything has to follow very strict compliance because we're handling people's, like you said, livelihood. We're handling people's, personal information in some cases. So, honestly, that was actually really funny that we met. That was how we met. I didn't even realize that. I felt like we met at like a meeting at a different like REI meet. But yeah, it was Facebook, and I was doing like a giveaway for leads, and it was just like you were like so hyped. You were hyping me up in the chat. It was like the first or second video ever.
I love chatting, all caps.
Yeah, he was like hyping me up. He's like, "What is this about?" He's like, "I want some freaking leads. Like, give me some leads."
Right.
But
it was great. It was great. I'm super skeptical. Back then, I was just we were trying anything. 3 years ago, it switched over to a retail market, more purchases, and then I eventually got into the broker model. But it definitely helped me make that transition. And it's helped me help more people. And that's basically what it gets down to. The people who are willing to put in the work to get these leads to help people. And we'll talk a little bit about how this does help or does affect on the buyer side or the seller, right? Because it is a benefit to them also. Most oftentimes, I talk about this in a segment before that you get to people too late. And they start reaching out too late because most people don't want to talk about their financial information. They don't want to talk about things, and these are emotional times, right? Somebody may be going through a foreclosure or something, and they have no option, so they go to the bank, and the bank is just trying to make a buck off them. So I want to talk about like how you came about to build this platform. Now you mentioned you're a senior partner. Are you the founder as well, or?
So yeah, that's a tricky term. So essentially, our CEO Aaron Stevens, he's a full stack developer out of Atlantic Beach. We're actually really good surf buddies. We've known each other for a few years, and we've done a couple of real estate deals together. And it was funny because he saw me working on one of our competitors, which is PropStream. And I was pulling like some lead lists and stuff and getting ready to, generate a list to do some calls. It was a high equity list. And he was like, what are you doing? And so I was like, well, this is just a platform that lets me pull properties. And then this is how I find our deals, is that I pull these list of properties and then I go ahead and reach out to the owners and, we start, ask them if they were interested in an offer or what have you. So he was just like, the way his brain works is like, oh, that's really cool.
Right.
It's very interesting. I wonder how they get the data, because Aaron's has a lot of connects in the industry as far as like data services go. And so just for like a background of like where our data comes from for contact information, it's a database that's been aggregated over a couple of decades.
Right.
And so he has a lot of connections in the tech world, and he's actually brought a couple of startups to IPO. Okay. So, full stack developer, knows everything, like as far as like everything that I could think of, it's more like, my will, his hand type of thing.
Right.
And so it was more of him just asking me questions when it was first starting out, like, what do you kind of look for in a platform? What do you hate about the skip trace that you have now? Obviously, the biggest thing that people hate about skip tracing is when the accuracy is terrible.
Right.
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 So after a while, he just kind of like started developing this thing without me knowing. And then actually, he's just like, hey, what do you think about this? Try this. And that's when I started advocating for it. I started promoting it for him because he's not a sales guy. Most tech guys aren't sales guys. It's very rare.
Most CEOs aren't really sales guys
No.
at some point. Maybe in the beginning, but
Well, it depends.
yeah.
I know some pretty, out there CEOs that are, they just love being in the public eye. But yeah, no, he definitely was like all about it. And obviously he knows that it works because we were doing deals together. So he's like, okay, I know that this is a platform that's valuable and that people would want to use. And so that's when I started getting a little bit more serious about promoting it. And that's when he brought up the idea of being a partner. Because at first we were just like a skip tracing company. It just was like, hey, give us your list and we will go ahead and, run it for you. It's funny, that's basically how it started, was just like people would give us their list and then we would skip trace it for them and then give them their information back, right? And get the information from his database.
Right.
And then it became an automated platform. And then after that, I was like, you know what? Kind of going back to what we were talking about earlier about that negative connotation with skip tracing that a lot of like, professionals have.
Yeah.
We're like, dude, we got to do something else. Like, there's so much better ways that we could help people out there. And like the worst thing I think that I experienced when I first got started in this business 10 years ago was that I had like no money, right? And it really sucked having to like, take cash and try PPL or try, putting into a subscription service or like getting in contract with a provider and hoping that you get some good data or some good leads. And so I was like, man, how cool would it be if we could compete with the big guys, right? And create a platform where it was, one, completely free to sign up. Most of these guys, they make you put up your credit card information. They want your phone number. They want the blood of your firstborn. And then to cancel, you got to call and run through a gauntlet of, saying, yes, I want to cancel in order for them to let you go.
Right.
Us, it's, hey, give us your email. You sign up for free. You even get free credits to try us out. Hey, here's 25 credits to try us out. If you like it, great. Well, here's a very affordable pay-as-you-go system so that you can go ahead and start generating leads right away.
Right.
And so that was kind of like the passion behind it. That's the ethos, I guess you could say, for like Prime Tracers, that we want to create a very low barrier entry, which we have. It's a very low barrier entry product where people can go ahead and professionals can get started right away, no matter what kind of budget they're facing. So,
and that's how I got started.
Yeah.
With spin the wheel. And
well, you're already killing it, but
we
were giving away stuff.
I think I won twice, and I was like, okay.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, you can't win more than
right.
Remember, we're trying to help people here. So,
and then what ended up happening is at that time, and you've grown you've grown this, and I don't mean grown it in like a monetary way, because we didn't talk about, any of that, and that's none of the business, none of my business, but
Right.
I've seen this platform grow from what it was to what it is. And I want to stop and say that above all else, what really drew me to you, and everybody watches in secret from afar, right? So,
Oh, yeah. You're always getting judged.
Who's this person? What are they about? This
Yeah.
and that. Yeah, everybody can talk. That's fine. But I only, like I mentioned this a lot, is I only align myself with people of the same moral, turpitude that I have, because that's going to translate through to your customers. Most people do it. They say it as a buzzword. I really try to live that. And when I spoke to you, it really was no charge. Number one. Number two, you were giving away something, and most people think, oh, if you're going to give it away, it's nothing of value, right? But that wasn't the case, because you went further into helping me understand, number one, what skip tracing was, and we'll talk about that in a second exactly, so we can get rid of that stigma, because it does help, and we'll show how it helps. But helping me get set up, from start to finish. Hey, what's step one, step two, step three? And you took the time. And I'm like, this guy's running the company. He's taking the time to do this. And, and I really felt like that's something that aligned with me, because that's what I set out to do with people, right?
Yeah.
So thank you for that, number one. And then I've seen it grow. And we spoke about a week ago or 2 weeks ago, and kind of revisited where you were, and there was even more new stuff coming out. And I'm like, this is going to be nuts. And then there's more stuff coming on top of that. So if you could go over a little bit, I want to just have people understand what skip tracing is, because I can say it, but I'm probably not going to say it right. I know what it does for me, and how it benefits me, and how it can benefit, but I don't have it from a sense of, first of all, we can kind of talk about who this is for, right? Because I know why I use it.
Yeah.
I use it to help my realtor partners get information that they could get, but it takes a little bit longer, and actually help them in their negotiations with deals that they're doing, right?
Yeah.
So if I have somebody comes to me and they say, hey, I have a 2.9, assumable VA mortgage on this property, I'm going to go look at the property, and then all of that data is there. And I want to make it evident that this is all public data. So you've pulled public data and consolidated it.
Correct. So like anyone who's in distress, right, quote unquote, it's all information that's public from the county, right? All of our data that we get. And it's funny because everybody wants to say, as far as property data goes, so there's a big difference between property data and contact data.
Right.
Okay. So most people nowadays, they are kind of like, ever since, people are like really into like using AI scrapers and stuff like that to get data. And we actually had to like combat that ourselves for our property, to secure our property data. But property data is public information. So if someone's in, pre-foreclosure, that's public information. There's a notice that they've been served. If someone's got a tax lien on their property and they're tax delinquent, that's going to be public information. If you'll see like actually like on our site that there'll be some mortgage information, and you'll see that we have like interest rate on there, but we don't know people's exact interest rate, right? Like that's private information.
But it's close.
Yeah. All we could do, like the stuff you see on there, is just whatever was the average for Freddie Mac for that month, for that year. That's all that is. And you kind of make your calculations based on that. But like for a mortgage broker, like for yourself, for example, you could be pulling up a list of, let's say, people that have adjustable rates, right? Pull up adjustable rate loans that of owners, and same thing with private loans. Maybe it's time for them to refinance. Maybe they need to get out of their situation.
Balloon payment.
Yeah, balloon payments. And if you need to stack it, you can stack those filters using our product. So it's, you want to do adjustable rates. So let's say they're in pre-foreclosure. Hey, how can we help you? Lock in a rate. Will that help you lower your monthly payment enough to where it's affordable?
Right.
And skip tracing really is, like I said, it's just essentially we have a database that has been recovered through first party opt-in. And so what that means is essentially when you go to the store and you fill out information on a card,
right?
You're essentially opting in to being added to a database, which we have ownership of essentially. Right. So that's, again, Aaron's wheelhouse, and he's been doing that for a couple, like I said, he's got a database that's like 20, almost 30 years old. Right. And so that information gets refined daily. And so just to give an example of how vast it is, it's essentially 2 trillion plus data sets that we have.
That's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, over several thousand indexes. And so it's a very vast network. And so what we utilize, and I'm kind of like getting ahead of myself here, but just so you guys understand, like, and the other thing too is that skip tracing is not wizardry by any means. There's a term with data scientists that we call it GIGO, which is GIGO, which means garbage in, garbage out.
Right.
And so a lot of times we'll also get people that come in and they give us like a really bad inputs, right? And the next thing you know, it's like, okay, well, it's not matching with anything in our system, or there's having a low match rate. It's not wizardry. It is like dependent on what kind of information you can provide our system, and then our system goes to our database, and it utilizes a very proprietary ID graph, a very robust proprietary graph, and then it goes, okay, so you're looking at this address, this person's name that they have input is Joseph, but we see him in our system, his name's Joe, but that's got to be him. Right. And then it'll extrapolate that information and put it onto your list.
Okay.
So skip tracing is really just, finding people based on available inputs and then getting an output out of it.
So we're talking about email and phone number, primarily. Name, email, and phone number.
Primarily email and phone number. So that's what we started out with as a digestible data set for our clients and users. We are far more we've expanded far more from that point. And what I mean by that is, depending on what industry you're in, because some industries you can't use these data sets, but we do have something coming out called Prime Persona. It's going to be either the end of this month or the beginning of next month. And what that is it's a very, very vast audience builder. And what it allows you to do is you could basically create an audience list, or a lead list, what you could say, that is essentially anywhere. I mean, you could take familial information, which is age, someone's exact age, their date of birth. You can look up their age range, how many children they have.
Right.
If there's an adult, young adult living in the household. So we actually have like a college that has approached us wanting that kind of information.
Right.
You could look up people. One of our larger clients is a senior care living facility, and they run demographic information based on seniors living in their home. And they have, let's say, an annual income of like 100,000 or more. Okay. And their net worth's like $250,000 or more. So we have financial indicators, familial indicators. We can find out, religion, which political affiliation you're with, right. Your donor information, what your hobbies and interests are, even what make and model car you drive in the year. So it's very vast, and it kind of creeps people out.
So all this information, I want to say that like it's all out there already.
Oh, it's all out there. Because you're putting in that information,
Yeah.
It's like there's paywalls to see that information.
Right.
We are one of those paywalls. We just give it to you at an affordable rate.
Right.
But in terms of property information, that's so demographic and contact information. Like I said, for you to get access to that, you do have to agree to our privacy policies and terms and conditions, because obviously some of that information can be a bit sensitive, and some people aren't allowed to use that kind of information, because let's say insurance companies, they cannot use people based on their finances,
right,
and their credit rating and stuff
and
like
target,
that.
Right?
Correct, they can't do that. But as far as property data goes, it's completely out there. Everybody, and that's kind of what we need to allude to, right? Is I think part of this is talking about how we can help homeowners that are in distress.
Yeah, how can they benefit? What effects does it have on them? So, ideally, you mentioned the TCPA, and I want to kind of touch on that a little bit for the compliance piece. So, what TCPA has to do with this, when we can call people as mortgage brokers or realtors, or just people calling from call centers, right?
Right.
And there's a list, a do not call list with the government that these parties are supposed to be checking with when they have them. So let's say somebody gets a list from your data, and I've got 15 lists, and we'll talk about how we call them also. But I call them up, and they're like, hey, look, I'm on the do not call list. Like, you can get fined for stuff like that.
Oh,
right?
yeah, for sure.
And if they pursue it, I mean, if people have, a lawyer on retainer or something they're going on, and it's a pretty hefty fine. So
some people make a living off that.
yeah. Oh,
you
yeah.
know?
There's it's a good living. Yeah, call me. I dare you.
Call
So,
me, text me.
right. But it's crazy because you do have to have that. So
Yeah.
with your company, I mean, the terms and conditions, is there any other barriers that I would say that that certain people can't use it? So let's say it is an insurance person. Are they able to pull that other data?
So we're not going to specifically keep someone from pulling that data because we don't know what you're going to do with it. All we can say is, hey, you've been warned that, you should not use this if you're in this.
Right.
And I'll give you a perfect example.
They know already.
They already
number
know.
one.
I mean, the perfect example is look at all of the texting platforms out there.
Right.
Right. Like, Launch Control, what is it? There's some other ones out there like
There's Ring
Smart.
Central, there's Salesforce, there's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, all the Go high level white labels out there. So, there's all these texting platforms out there, and cold texting is illegal. How many people do you think there's really people out here with a 10,000 opt-in list to receive text messages, to ask if you're ready to sell your home?
Right.
Absolutely not. I mean, I had like two just, text me today. And it's like, if I find out their information, I really want to be petty, I can get them fined. And here in Florida, you can pay up to a state penalty of $20,000 per text.
Yep.
I mean, the federal penalty, of course, is up to $1,500 per text.
Yeah.
So, those people don't care. They just sell their platform. They sell their software and say, hey, just know that if you do this, if you use our service, you're not using it in illegal means.
Right.
Otherwise,
and that's what the
terminated.
terms and conditions are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, we can't keep people from doing anything illegal. Of course, we'll terminate them if we find out that they're doing anything that they're not supposed to. And as far as the DNC goes, so another reason why our data is able to be so affordable is because we don't scrub our stuff against the DNC. And there's another reason for that other than cost. The DNC changes every day.
Right. And
as numbers get recycled, they maybe come off the do not call list because they're no longer associated with that individual. And it's just very, for us, in order for us to keep our costs low for our users, we just leave that up to them. And the best way you could do that, though, is listen, I don't recommend anybody to not use a dialer, right? Like you're using Kixie, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So use a dialer system. Kixie has a DNC scrubber on there. Most dialer systems already have it, and it's part of your plan. And so that's what we just recommend our users to do is scrub the DNC list against theirs. And honestly, normally if you're calling and if it's like a one-time occurrence and you blacklist them from your if you blacklist them on your company list, and so that your dialer never picks up on them again, you're not your chance of you getting fined are really slim.
Right.
Not legal advice.
And it's automatic with Kixie. So for those who don't know, Kixie is it's kind of like a CRM. Note taker, dialer, SMS, and it'll dial 10 people at a time and kind of get you going in the right direction for who picks up the phone, the people who that want to talk to you. So let's talk about your competition, and I think the main one is like PropStream or PropWire. I don't want to name those companies.
No, that's fine.
Edit that out. But,
no, that's fine. We beat them. So, the thing with them is that it's kind of like the this old saying of like how to handle competition. Well, one, PropStream is huge. We're like, comparison in size of visitors. I mean, we're probably 0.5% of the market share, right? Compared to them with their own, like probably for this prop tech space, they probably own like 35%. Maybe a little bit less, but
same data sets. Same trillion data sets.
Yeah, and they do have a little bit more filters than we do. So they do have like some custom filters, I guess you could say.
How's that possible? I mean, you guys are filtering everything.
Well, the thing is that for us, we don't directly source our property data. So, we get that from a third party, and then we essentially take the data and clean it up and present it in a way that's, digestible for the users. And that's what a lot of these guys do. Like First American actually is one of the largest data providers for property information.
Yeah.
And they have, an API that you could use to build your own list builder essentially, but it's very expensive. Right? Like this stuff's expensive. Data's expensive. And so PropStream does have that because they have a larger development team and they can customize lists better, customize filters better. But we're getting to that point, and we're getting access to that list. Like, for example, they have lists. They have access to every single MLS brokerage in the U.S. Something like that, we still have to negotiate a contract for.
Right.
And so, but once we have that, right, we'll have all the nice little, historical MLS photos, historical MLS sales. We still get MLS data, but we don't get like the updated pictures. And our MLS data has a 1 week lag time.
Okay, well, that's not bad.
Yeah, it's not
So,
bad.
I mean,
It's free.
If we're looking at comparison, well, exactly. If we're looking at comparison, you've got PropStream that's this big box, right?
Right.
And you're essentially, on their heels or on their coattails, but the buy-in over there is a lot.
Yeah, it's $100 and you got to call in and cancel, and they want and I get it, right? Because they're so huge, they got people trying to exploit their system. We have people that always try to exploit our system, but we have, detections in place for when that happens. We block any duplicate accounts. If we have matching IPs, we're like, oh, this person's making another account, get rid of them,
Yeah.
So we have ways to protect ourselves, and obviously PropStream does that very thoroughly because they know they're the shit. They're like, hey, we're the big guys in town. We're the big fish in the pond, and like if you want to use us, you're gonna pay $100 a month, and you're gonna give us your credit card if you want the 7-day free trial, right? Because we're gonna make it hard for you.
And they probably have a contract.
They do like a subscription based as well, but still, it's like, this is the thing, right? And so this kind of also goes a little deeper, and this goes more into the competition and why people do subscriptions and why companies do these subscriptions other than the obvious, but especially for like our industry, right? So you have people now that also offer like, they do like free skip tracing, right? But they also charge like a monthly fee, and it's like including your fee, right? It is very expensive to keep your data fresh. It is very expensive for us to do daily updates.
Right.
Whereas, some of these companies, they don't have to update their stuff every day. Why? Because they have a bunch of people that are coming into their site. They have that weekend, I call that weekend motivation of, I want to be an investor today. Right. Or, that realtor, what is it, like 80% of realtors fail?
Yeah,
something like that, or it's like half fail, but only 20% of them do.
Everybody
of the
fails. That's how you win. You got to fail. But yeah, I know what you're saying.
But you know what I'm saying. They just don't make it. There's no consistency, and so they bank on you not being consistent. So if you're not using their data and if you're not using their platform, they got you paying $130 a month.
Yep.
And they know that, let's say if you like quit after a month because life happens or you give up or some shit hits the fan. And next thing you know, for a month or two, you forget about it. And then that's just coming out of your account. So they already made hand over fist on you.
Yeah.
Whereas for us, we are in the business, especially, like I said, I've been in the trenches for 10 years. And so I know the struggles that your everyday realtor and investor faces. And for us, it's kind of counterintuitive, and equity doesn't like this, right? Because they're like, why aren't you guys doing a subscription model? Even though like our structure, our fee structure is disruptive to the space.
Right.
So they like that. But the other thing too is, we want people to win.
Right.
We want people that are using our product to be raving fans. We want them to see success. We want them to be doing deals. We don't want people that are coming in here to spend $100 and then never come back.
Right.
Because it's just not what we want out of our users. And that's why we have this pay-as-you-go model. It's like, hey, if you see the success, you're going to be a raving fan. You're going to keep using us. You're going to be a customer of ours for years to come until, let's say, you get tired of it and you decide to do something else with your time, right? Because a lot of people, they get into the industry and then next thing you know, they're developers now or they're in another business. And so, but we want long-term customers and we want long-term users. And so the only way to do that is to make sure that they're successful using our product. And the only thing that we could really do is encourage you to say, hey, try us out. And we actually have a guarantee. This is kind of like under the radar, but we do have a guarantee coming out where essentially we're going to have it to where if you purchase, your first lead list of, let's say 10,000 records, we'll guarantee that you'll get at least 10 solid leads in that first 30 days. Otherwise, we'll give you another 10,000 to replay the playbook. Because honestly, the way that it's structured, the way that this guarantee is structured, that there's absolutely no way that you can fail if you're really serious about being successful in this industry.
Right.
So
define the term lead in that case. In this
case, that would be not someone saying, hey, I want $700,000 and the home's worth 500.
Right.
That's not a lead.
Somewhat of a lead.
A lead is somebody that is interested in selling their home, and they give you details on the phone, and they're open to you coming in and seeing their home.
Yeah.
And scheduling an appointment. Like that's a lead to us. Where let's say that you guys aren't 100% and agree on price, or let's say for an agent they're not 100% sure, but they're interested in hearing what they could get for their home, and they're open to an appointment. That's a lead.
Right.
So
what I've used this for is me personally, what I've used it for is for just compiling an address list. So there's data out there. Hey, this person is in a mortgage that's 7.5%, and I'm a mortgage broker. I could help that person if the rates are 4.875 right now.
Absolutely,
right?
yeah.
And I see that they do have some equity in there, even if they did go into a down payment assistance program that they have to pay off. We could still help them. So I could kind of build the deal outside of that, and then when I call them, like, hey, I know you're not expecting my call.
Yeah.
Would you hate me if I had some information about how you could be probably saving money? And I know you don't want to be on the phone, and I kind of try to get off the phone before them because I don't, I don't have anything about rejection, but I mean, who wants to hear rejection, right? And I want to be in front of the people that can help. So our time's valuable, right? So we want to be to those people. I don't want to argue back and forth with somebody.
No, I mean, and that's a funny thing you brought that up, kind of tangent, but. Yeah, for a lot of people, they just get so hung up, especially, for us, we help people, obviously, that do like direct mails because you get like mailing address information for free.
Absolutely, that too.
You could download our entire database for free. We don't care. Yeah. We only make money if you buy, for the skip trace and get email and phone numbers. But, people are like so just shy to be on the phone. And it's just like, who cares? Like, you're going to talk to somebody and you're going to let this person keep you from helping somebody else and you putting some money in your pocket. Like, and the thing, and that's the beauty about, using an actual dialer system is that, let's say somebody, if you get a no, you already have the next call coming in.
Right.
So it's like, you just hang up and you're on the next call already. So it's like,
it does help with the rollover. It does.
Instead of you sitting here like dialing and having to call them and hear
the next call is mashing the buttons.
Yeah,
and
they're just already on. They're just already on. They're like, oh, hey, how's it going?
Right. And then you have their data pulled up on the sheet already as soon as that pops up, which is, I mean, that's what I need. Right. Yeah. So that's the thing that I build the phone call off of that. Like, hey, listen, this is what I've got. Flat out, that's it. If it's not something you like, then it's not something you like. I apologize for taking up your time, but think about it. This is my number. Save my number if you like. And
but you have a good disruptive pattern going, right?
I've gotten calls back a month later with like, hey man.
Oh yeah.
Like they're digging for the number, or they saw the text, whatever it was. So it does help people, and that's kind of the effect that it has on buyers. So it's not. This is about how this stuff is helping you, because a lot of people don't know the industry. Right. No. And they need professionals to reach out to them.
That's right.
Right. Where, I mean, can you imagine if you had people who, were therapists and they're actually like living around in the world and they're actually helping people as we go along, you know what I mean? Rather than somebody's got to wait in an office somewhere and in a padded room and give you therapy. Like it's there for you. So, and a lot of people don't speak about it. And this is a lot of where the home buyer education and homeowner education has really taken off as the technology has grown over the last 5 years.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's why we're here now speaking about it, because it's something that's happening and it's not going to be able to be stopped.
And it drives people nuts. It drives
people are using
nuts.
AI, but it helps them, and they know it helps them. People are using AI to go search for answers to questions that they would normally have to go into a bank and talk about. Right? Nobody likes to go call a lender or a loan officer and get told no. And then that's it. They just dump them and that's it. So now you have all this information. Like I have clients that are building the deals themselves and coming to me.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm like, yeah, so this and this and this, but you missed this step. And I'm like, you should become a loan officer, right?
Right.
Do you want to do that? And they're like, maybe I will, maybe I won't.
Join my team.
Right. They're thinking about
recruiting people.
Exactly. And they're thinking about their job,
Yeah.
Like what they're doing. But I have people, coming up. So how much is that MLO test? Let me know how that is and blah, blah, blah. I said, man, it's not what you think it is, man.
Yeah.
Like,
it's funny because, going back to like our competition too, they have, like their AI valuations. I'm not gonna say the actual name of it, but I get a lot of users that come up. They ask us, "Hey, well, what about this? Can you guys do because we do have a lender grade AVM that we use, and it has like a internal confidence score. You've seen it. It has like
Right.
I only say if it's not like 93% or better, it's probably chances are you're out of strike range. But if it is and it's in the green, you're probably within like a 10 to 20K strike range
Nice.
of the value.
Yeah.
But it's still not a like dependable form of running a valuation. Like,
Right.
even with advanced as AI has become and how advanced it's going to be, I still think we got quite a bit of time before we get to a point where it can really truly like appraise properties.
Right.
And even then, nothing's going to beat like a human appraiser because you're going to be able to, because what if AI is be looking at like an old photo sometimes, right? Let's say, what if the photos are newer? What if the house is in worse shape? What if the house is in better shape?
Right.
And then all of a sudden it comes up with, a way off valuation. And so nothing beats like getting human eyes on the property and being like, oh, this is this curb appeal is different from this property. This property has a porch in the back, enclosed porch. It has an in-ground pool. Oh, is the garage detached or is it attached? Right. So it's all about, you still need professionals to be able to truly bring value to, to this industry. So
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
it's like, people say agents are the middlemen with, all the stuff coming out that we're going to be irrelevant. Yeah, that's not
Everyone's the middleman, but I'm going to tell you
Yeah.
what, I can't back up an 18-wheeler, right?
Yeah.
So I can't go in and just, somebody says, hey, go in and move this 18-wheeler into this
you could.
parking spot.
I think you do it.
I mean, maybe, right? But I'm as good as my job as you are at yours. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of like where I stand. It's not that I'm ignorant of, the things that you do in your job, but this is something we deal with every day. Like, we deal with the rates every day. It's not a 15-minute search with an AI tool that gives you information, and it is the correct information. However, the way you're interpreting it is obviously for your benefit, and it's
Right.
not in line with the guidelines most of the time, right? So that's the conversation that's kind of difficult for people to have, is like, I can make it look pretty for you and say everything is really nice, but I'm going to tell you the facts and where we're going to actually end up.
Right.
And that's where I want to start. So I believe that part of the experience, and we focus on the experience more than anything else, but that part of the experience is crucial to having success and having advocacy, right?
Right.
So the same thing, like when you're doing these skip tracing and finding these people, like you may go door knock, like you say, hey, I got an absentee owner, they're tired of renting. They don't want to do maintenance. They're out of state.
Yeah.
They are downsizing themselves. Like, this is an opportunity to try to help that person out. And you're not only helping that person, you're helping everybody in that community, because the property's staying at value. It's not getting run down.
Right.
And we need these things. Like, this is going on here in Northeast Florida too, in a lot of smaller areas.
Oh yeah. Then you also have like the, high turnover zip codes, like, 32210
Right.
in Jacksonville. It's,
Right.
I mean, properties they trade hands so much, especially in some of the other areas like 5409. There's so much changing hands in those properties. But yeah, I mean, when you really think about it, it is a complete trickle down effect. And it's funny that we talk. And so obviously what a lot of people think about, and also if you have thought about, is, essentially like sellers that are in distressed situations. But sometimes it's not always like sellers that are in distressed situations. In fact, most of the successful realtors and investors that use our product is they're the ones that are pulling the high equity lists.
Right.
And so for an investor, they're probably doing like 70% equity or more. For an agent, you'd probably look for someone who's probably owned a property for 5 to 10 years minimum. And so that could kind of be like the tired landlord. If it's, let's say, a secondary home, they've owned it for 10 or more years, like they might be tired of renting, but they have 50% or more equity. So maybe they're ready to cash out and put that money into another vehicle.
Well, they may not know. That's the
Or maybe
fact.
they don't know, right?
That's the
Maybe
fact.
they don't
It's
know.
like, I got
So
this property.
You're also, and
Stuck with it.
exactly. And so, as an agent, you're like, okay, well, great. I got a list of, absentee owners that have owned their property 10 years or more. So they're probably, if this was a second home, they're probably, tired of renting it, especially if their portfolio is low. Because you also could, with our system, you could put a min or max on their portfolio.
Right.
So let's say they have no more than 3 properties, but they have more than 2. So 2 to 3 properties, and 10 years plus 50% equity. And then, you might have a few listings out of that.
Right.
So,
And help them get something that's more their speed,
Yeah.
or take that and invest it somewhere else. And this is part of the home ownership journey. It's not just about buying a house, not just about being a landlord, not just about, it's about getting to the wealth. And skip tracing is, like we said, one of those gears.
Yeah, because I mean, if we just take into account just how people generate leads now, nobody likes doing. And what's funny is that nobody likes doing the work. I mean, we have a couple thousand users, but I would say that a lot of the investors and agents that I speak with personally, they just the ones that are kind of like hit or miss, they're more so focused on like inbound lead gen. And so they want to do PPC, they want to spend $500 a lead for PPL, instead of just going in there and just, I know you're probably like, that sounds great.
Sign me up.
Well, hey, obviously it works. If you build the system outright, if you build it, not outright, if you build the system right, it definitely has potential to work wonders, especially if let's say you spend a year doing really good SEO, backlinks, and whatnot.
Yeah.
But for like someone that's just starting out, right? Like when I started out, at the time, none of my friends were ready to buy houses at my age, right? I was like 20, 24, so I was like, no one's ready to buy houses. And all my circle of influence was like my parents, right? And so it's just like, I don't know any professionals. I was a bartender. So for people like that, I mean, this is how you start generating business right away, is through like outbound reach. And that's gonna be cold calling, that's gonna be doing direct mail. Unless you're ready to shell out $500 a lead or spend, because another thing is like PPC, but imagine how much money, I mean, if you think about how much the brokerages pay for PPC ads, or like even the investors here, the wholesalers here, the big guys here that do wholesaling, I mean, they spend $50,000 to $75,000 a month in PPC. Right. How is your $500 going to create any type of like competition?
So you forcing me into a box here. I gotta say this. So PPC is pay per click, right?
Yeah.
There's tons of ad companies out there. They may work, whatever. Everybody's ad is out there. I get leads from ads, sure, right? Mm-hmm. I can generate leads from ads myself. Just make an ad copy, send it to Facebook or to Google, spend the money for that, and then have a form that comes back to me. Right, I can do that myself all day, and I have 35,000 leads like that. Right, they're not what. When you're trying to get somebody who's actively looking, right now, those people are. We're going to work with them. We have paths to homeownership that they can take. So some of them need credit repair, some of them just need to wait, some of them may
where you are in the funnel.
Oh my gosh, everybody's everywhere, right? Yeah. And I've been all those places too. So that's like really what kind of drives me to help is we want to make sure that these people are still getting the help they need and not getting dumped, because they need the information, right? Yeah. A lot of people have gotten information, like we said, with the technology, but my focus is just like everybody else's focus is who needs help now. And we have to be ready to help those people now, right? So if you're getting a bunch of that and you're spending your time on a bunch of that, and don't have that 5-7 minute conversation to find out, hey, look, it's not no, but it's no right now, right? Here's what we can do, and then you follow up with them and get that done. So you have time blocks set apart for that. So, but getting people now, I would rather spend my money into making sure my referral partners who have qualified people, they've pre-qualified them, then they're sending them to me. I'm going to make sure that they're good. In any way, whether, hey, let me do a presentation, let me sponsor an event for you. Like I'm going to do that 1,000 times over because I would rather spend $1,000 a month on that than getting people who don't need help. And this is where skip tracing comes in, because you are getting people that need help. Right.
Exactly.
And that's what we're talking about. Like, how can the homeowner themselves benefit from this? This is the way, right?
Right.
Because and you can go door knock and.
Well, like you said, some of them don't even know how much equity they have in their property. Right.
Like, or what equity is.
Yeah. What is equity?
Man, let me tell you, I went to the bank and I'm like, hey, I need my money. What are you talking about? I'm like, yeah, my property gained value. I'm 36 years old. My property, or 34. Let me not say 36. But it was 34. I swear it was 34. give me my money from the bank. And they're like, what are you talking about? Yeah, my property raised in value. And I'm like, no, man, you got to take a loan. You got to qualify. I said, a loan on my money? And it was a mess. It was a mess. It was worse when I went and found out how insurance works too. I'm like, I'm paying every month for this, and I still got to pay a copay, and then I still got a bill after that.
Oh yeah. I had something done earlier this year, and it was $2,000 out of pocket. But I mean, I would have spent $5,000 on an insurance policy. For like, what is it, like a bronze plan? You know what I mean?
I'm so glad it's not mandatory anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
And with the penalty.
That's another conversation.
I'm not going to knock the insurance. I mean, for homeowners, certainly.
Oh man, the 3X on homeowners insurance policies. I mean,
well, you still need homeowners insurance.
Yeah, you need that.
Don't do it without homeowners insurance. I'm going to plug homeowners insurance. I am not ready to plug health insurance yet, until someone can tell me, hey, this is going to really benefit you. I mean, I've got issues, right, with my body or whatever, but I'm not going to get into all that. Like,
some of it's preventable. But.
It's almost cheaper not to have it, even with the penalty. Mm-hmm. But let's.
Where were we?
We were at
spiraling into insurance, and medical procedures.
It's all relevant.
Skip tracing, guys.
It's all
data
relevant.
Makes you money and makes people happy.
There it is. There's the pitch.
Yeah.
But what's your story or unique perspective that makes this all worth sharing with the community, like the realtors, the mortgage brokers,
Yeah, I mean, kind of just piggybacking off on what I was saying on some of the things I said earlier. I mean, it sucks when you're starting off. I'm about to say it sucks starting off on your own, right? But then I was gonna say it sucks more when you're already working with others and then they try to screw you. But we've all had bad partners in the past. But I know how it is when you're starting out, and it feels like when I first got my license, I was like really excited because my dad was he was licensed already at that point for like 20 years.
Yeah.
And
she grew up in the business.
Yeah.
Sort
of. Yeah. And so, but not necessarily because he always had to. He could never full dive into it. He was always that 1 deal, 2 deal a year kind of realtor.
Right.
And it's because he had to take care of family. And
consistency.
So, yeah. And so he was in the Navy, and then when he got out, he still works for the government, but he's actually retiring in 6 months. But like for him, that was his dream, was to do real estate and stuff. And so he was always telling me about how great real estate is and because I've always been in sales and stuff. And so he's always like, man, like you need to get into it.
Yeah.
I could really see you doing well in it. And so I just went off that. I was like, yeah, I'm tired of bartending. I'm ready to go, be a realtor.
Yeah.
And,
and you are now.
Yeah, I am now. But when I first got my license and I like walked out the door and I saw that I passed the exam and I went to NEFAR when I was still over here, in Jax Beach. And
what?
And then I was like, okay, how the hell do I get deals?
Right.
So, talk to your sphere of influence, okay, let me send this, message on Facebook about, how I'm a realtor now. Anyone needs to use me. So, never really
no one cares, man.
Nobody cares. Everybody's
cares.
A realtor. And when I got started was 2015. So everybody and their mother was becoming a realtor, and deals were so easy to get, honestly. Now it's a lot harder.
Right.
Now it's a lot harder to get deals.
And it's not because there's more realtors.
No.
It's just
the market shifted.
Yep.
And so, the people that are still doing deals now are the ones that are just going to come out on top, right? Just because, like I said, it's just a very, very trying times right now. But that's why you got to be flexible in your approach. And so, knowing what realtors want and what also being an investor myself, because I also have my own property management company before, and so I've been all over it in terms of like the real estate side. And so I know what is valuable to our avatars. Right. And that's why we made the product to where it is now, because honestly, their property side's only been out for 2 months now. Yeah. And so I knew that if we could create a product that was free, that people can build, list on, and analyze property data, in addition to, whatever they have in their toolkit already, I mean, I think that's something that would be, invaluable to any professional that's in this space.
This sounds pretty obvious to to me or maybe to you. You mentioned new realtors, and basically new realtors as yourself coming into the business. It's like, yeah, I got this. Hooray. I post, I'm a realtor. Who are my friends? And everybody kind of takes a step back. Okay, anything I like on Facebook for this guy is coming after me. I know it, right?
Yeah.
And it's kind of like the feeling that you get.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah.
So absolutely. So tell me how, and this is what I've noticed with new realtors, because immediately, you do have that kind of persona. I tried to pass the realty test. I just got too much going on. I failed it twice, and I'm just like, okay, let me cool out. I'm getting there. I'm human, right?
Yeah.
Believe it or not. But when new realtors are joining now, because of this lead generation, because that's what it is, realty is lead generation. No matter where they're getting them from, people looking on Zillow, people just walking around the supermarket and they see your face on the shopping cart, wherever it is, like that's what needs to be created. And people need money for that.
Yeah.
So what they're doing is they're joining teams. And that's the first thing that they're doing is joining teams. So now you're getting a percentage. Now you can, and I'm a firm believer of putting people where they're good at, right? So these people may be super good at admin. And this is a way to find out where you're good at. But them not doing the work, those 1,000 users you have, like that's where we got to draw the line. Do you feel that, you're competing against those realtors that are joining those teams and they could be doing it themselves? Or do you think that they should go that avenue first?
Well, it's funny.
You can say whatever you want. I mean, it's your opinion.
It's funny that you bring this up because I talk about this. I've had it because of like the recent surge that we've been experiencing. Because we're part of like a lot of big Facebook groups now. And I mean, I'm talking like a few 100,000 like realtors that are in these groups and stuff. And so and plus with all our advertising, we've been getting a lot more traction, I guess you could say. Like just in the last 3 months, the business is 10x. And we actually are working out a deal right now with, I'm not going to say the company, but there is a brokerage, not here in Florida, but there is a brokerage that we've connected with, and they have, several thousand agents. And the owner is very intuitive in terms of like software goes. And so the plan is to essentially, they're going to pay like a lump sum every like quarter or so. And then we're going to go ahead and give all their agents a certain amount of credits. Doesn't matter who. If you sign up, you're getting credits for Prime Tracers. And the funny thing is that when I was talking to my buddy about it, who got us connected with him, because he's a real estate coach as well. It's funny just how it's because I'm friends with real estate coaches, and I'm friends with coaches for realtors. And the funny thing is that, and the realtors might hate that I say this, but the investors are the ones that are normally way more motivated and about like what we provide than what the agents are. And a lot of times, and I think, I'm not sure how to put it, but I just feel like agents just expect to have their brokerage lift them up all the time and basically carry them to victory.
Could be mindset.
Yeah, it's definitely it's different mindsets. And the ones that come to us, I mean, gosh, we have like a 19-year-old, one of our first users. He's like this 9-year-old kid. He's like 20 now, but the guy's doing like 5 deals a month.
Yeah,
and he's absolutely killing it.
Yeah.
And then I also have like agents that I've been helping for a while, and they're just doing 1 deal every 3 months.
Right.
And it's just, and they know what they need to do. And every time I tell them what they need to do, they're like, I know what I need to do. I know what I need to do. And then next thing you know, I hear from them 2 months later. Hey, Steve, can you run me by again, like the strategy and the plan?
Yeah. It's accountability is more often than not, I think that people do need that structure like anybody, right? They need the structure. They need, here's your schedule. I mean, I had AI generate a schedule for me. And it's like, hey, let me stick to this schedule, put it on my calendar. So
I 100% agree with that. And, I'm kind of the same way too. Like our, one of our marketing specialists, she actually helped like build out like our CRM and our pipeline and stuff like that, because I she's all about systems and I'm terrible with systems. I have really bad ADD. And so I can't stick with stuff, it took me everything in my power to like sit down for 8 hours and build out the automation for like our campaigns. because it's just something I absolutely suck at. I can talk all
I
day.
think it takes everybody that time.
Yeah. I can coach people all day. I can talk to people all day. I can show people how to get started with the system. But as far as like building it out, it's so tedious for me. So I get that. People need accountability, and everyone's different. But yeah, for the most part, I would say, going back to your original question about what do you say to people that want to do teams? I mean, I think it's great either way, because since we are pay as you go, we do have brokerages that will come in and they'll do like the diamond tier. Yeah. Right. And they'll say there's just 5 of them in a team, and they'll, instead of paying 4 cents a record, they're spending 3 cents a record, because they're buying 50,000 at once, and they split 10,000 amongst their teammates. Right. If each person gets 10,000.
So what's the price for 50,000? Just so we all I need to know too.
Yeah, 3 cents, 1,500.
Okay.
The 10,000 records is 400, but we have a lot of promotions coming up now, because like I said, we have the guarantee coming out, and then we also have it to where, within that first week that you do a purchase, we're going to do a price lock guarantee. So if, let's say, you purchase the platinum tier at $400, we'll give it to you at $300 if you sign up, if you pay within that first week, your first 7 days, and then you're locked in at 3 cents forever.
Nice. So this is the promotion for watching this podcast.
Yeah, because it's not official yet. So yeah, if you're watching this podcast, you can take advantage of this before anyone else.
There you go. Yeah, I like it. I mean, like I said, I appreciate you coming here and telling us all about it. And yeah, it's great to see you again. And we do have to get out there and shoot a video.
Yeah, for sure.
Of you surfing.
Yeah, on the
surf
beach.
Videos. We got surf videos coming or something.
I don't know. Or maybe the next video actually would be maybe a seminar and success stories and stuff like that.
Certainly.
Because we're in the business of helping people and helping other professionals. And like I said, going back to it, I don't want users that are not in it to win it. Right? Like, I want to help people and provide a product to people that are like ready to win. Yeah. And so
where can we find the information that? I want everybody to know. Obviously, we'll put it in the description. Mm-hmm. What is the next step? I mean, let's say we have somebody, and I didn't know that. I didn't even think that a brokerage would sign up to. Grab this stuff and have their agents just go out there and.
We got to get the paperwork to legal, and then they spit it out, and then we send it.
And I'm sure you don't make it as hard as like Experian or.
No. I mean, it's like a 2-page contract, 3-page contract, nothing crazy. And even then, it's like quarterly, because the only reason why we have to even get contracts for deals of that size, obviously deals of that size, right? So if we're incurring more costs because we're taking you on, we got to make sure that we can, protect ourselves. Right. But for the most part, for like the average brokerage size, the average team size, I mean, it's pay as you go. Yeah. You know what I mean? People ask us like, what's the cancellation policy? There is none. Right. We don't get any complaints because we get no complaints, because if someone has a problem, we fix it, and it's free up until you need to pay, and then you just pay for it whenever you need it.
Right on.
But yeah, go to prime-tracers.app. You can sign up for free. It's free. And then you get 25 free credits. Try us out. Skip trace some numbers. Maybe we'll get lucky in those 25 credits. Probably not, but you never know. Maybe, you might get lucky.
I got lucky.
Yeah, you got lucky. And then also just email 100 in your welcome letter, and then we'll give you another 100 credits for watching this podcast. So
that's a deal. So that's 125 leads, basically.
Exactly. Potential.
Yeah. Which is not, that's stuff you can cultivate also and put into your campaigns and really reach out and try to help people. Steven, thanks for coming.
No, thanks, Douglas.
Appreciate you, man.
Nice seeing you again, man.
It's always great to see you.
Awesome.
Homebuyers Huddle. And like we said, Steven Morales is here from Skip Tracers, a senior partner at Skip Tracers. Shared a lot of great info with us. And it was great to see him again, like I said. And we'll put the description and a link if you do want to sign up and try it out. Like I said, it's only an email, right?
Yeah.
That's it. You don't have to put in all your property data.
It's so easy now. You just can sign up with Google. Just click the Google and link your Google account.
That's sweet. You love that.
Yeah. We're intuitive.
Right. Well, thanks, everybody. See you next week.
Your guide, your path, your compass, just ask Freeman Douglas.